Manipulation at its finest. What's going on, guys? So today we are talking about the most recent example that I have been able to find of blatant manipulation in penny stocks. And I want to make sure you are aware of what happens so that you can make sure you spot this in the future and don't get yourself caught in a situation like what happened here with China Plastics. So here we go. It is CXDC. That's the ticker symbol. That is the company here, China XD Plastics Company Limited. Okay, so if you dive into their website, which is still loading on my page, it's not secure. It took a while, and we have some pictures that aren't even loading up. We really, it's difficult to see kind of what they have going on here. You have your about page. It'll take you 5 minutes for this to even load up. And it's like, okay, you can't really get a good grasp as to what this company even is, what they do, but you do know they're from China. They're Chinese. That's what we can at least identify right off the bat. Now, there's certainly been a lot of questions and a lot of uncertainty across a lot of Chinese stocks as of late past couple of months. And then we can certainly see that with the longer term chart here on this stock, but also a recent spike in the price that happened here late October is the most recent example of manipulation. Now, this is a type of manipulation that almost goes unnoticed to a degree. Now, there's a lot of reasons, and you can always speculate as to why a stock spikes. However, a stock spiking just before it gets delisted from the NASDAQ starts to get some attention, at least for me. Okay, so let's talk about what happened here. If you go back through their history, right, and you go back through 2021, we see this right here. Their first press release out here from April 22nd of 2021. They received a NASDAQ notice of late filing of its Form 10-K. Okay, so these companies need to file reports to remain listed on these exchanges. Now, later on that year, about a month later, we see that they receive a NASDAQ notification of non-compliance. And this is because they did not timely file their quarterly report, their 10Q, for the period that ended March 31st, 2021. Okay, that comes out. Then the next press release, we go a couple months, the next PR, again, we get the exact same press release right here. They were not in compliance because they didn't file their quarterly report 10Q for the period ending June 30th on time. Okay, so you start to see what's going on here, right? Now, the company can get granted up to 180 calendar days from the date of the Form 10K to regain compliance. So there are ways for companies, if they have delays for whatever reason, there's ways for them to make it up and to remain, compliant with, let's say, the NASDAQ in this case, and remain listed. Now you go back and we notice that here on September 10th, here's this press release. China XD Plastics Company Limited receives NASDAQ delisting letter and announces intended appeal. So they were told that, hey, we're going to delist you because you guys are not filing your reports on time and you're not complying with the standards by the NASDAQ, so we need to delist your company. They expect to have a hearing, and then they were looking to regain compliance. And based on this hearing at the time, the company's hearing will automatically suspend the delisting of their stock for 15 calendar days from the deadline to request a hearing, or until September 29th, 2021. Hearings are then typically held 30 to 45 days later from the request, and so this happened on the 10th, and so yeah, you give it about a month and a half, and that puts you mid to late October. Now, what's happened? We haven't gotten any more press releases from the company, so we're looking on Seeking Alpha. There's nothing here. If you go over to BAM SEC, what's the latest 8K? We have one out here from the 28th, and that's the 28th of October, but there's nothing there. There is legitimately nothing there that is any time in between that last press release that we saw and them getting delisted. So then this comes out here. They received a letter from the listing qualifications hearing department that the NASDAQ has determined to delist shares of their company from the NASDAQ, and they will be suspended from trading. Okay. And so what happened? And this is interesting. This comes out on the 28th. However, this was given to them. They received this on the 27th. What happens? What do we notice? We go to the chart. This is where it gets really interesting. It's where the manipulation occurs. What happens here, guys? We notice that on the 26th, okay, we get a bump. The stock goes up on the 26th of October. The stock is up here roughly over 25%. It actually hit up higher during the day, but it closed up over 25%. From the 26th, that close, to the high the next day, the stock was up almost 200%. Actually, from where it was trading literally a couple of days prior, the stock was up over 200%. in a very short period of time. That comes on the 27th. And then what happens? The 28th, it kind of just sits still. But then the after hours on the 28th, boom, we get that delisting notice and it's done. They are delisted the next day. So what happened here? What was the manipulation? Well, there was no news. There was absolutely no reason for this stock to trade higher other than to get institutions, market makers, those maybe inside the company, to get them out, potentially not as big of a loss, to get them out if they had bought shares earlier, to get this thing to pop, potentially trap retail traders who see this thing going up, thinking it's going to be the next best thing for whatever reason, some, rumors, speculating on social media, whatever, and then delist and you're wiped out. You're essentially, this thing goes down and you can't control it. If we go to the 1 hour chart here and see what's going on, if you go back to this time frame, right, the thing spikes on up and then it falls right back off, and next thing you know, it's delisted. And next thing you know, if you bought this thing up over, let's say up over $1, you're down, massive on your position, and there's nothing you can do. So the manipulation here, guys, is noticing that there was a spike on this stock right before they announced that they were going to delist. Now, this is an interesting play because you could look back and have thought about playing it two different ways. Obviously, on the initial spike, you could play the momentum and day trade that if you would like to. But then if you look back through their history, yeah, of course, could they have gotten a notice that they would remain listed? You sure? Maybe that was coming. We didn't know. We didn't know at the time. But looking back through their history, very little updates, very little press release information. There's not much here. It would have potentially been an idea to take a small short position as a lottery. And the idea behind it is that, hey, they're going to delist, or they're going to be some bad news coming out here, because all you look back through on their press releases is just nothing but delisting notices and potentially appealing, and maybe that's not going to go through. And so that was the opportunity for people to take a short position, or at least a cautionary note if you were trading this thing on that day and you got bagged and you got stuck in it and you lost big. Well, the caution is that, hey, maybe you should look back through their recent press releases, their recent reports, some of their 8K filings. Are they complying with the exchange that they're even trading on? And I think it's a stupid thing to think about, because these stocks, they're trading, right? They should be fine. Well, sometimes it's not. And so you need to make sure you're paying attention, especially when you're talking penny stocks, small caps, low floats, stuff we talk about a lot here. And that's why I think it's so important to always make sure you're doing your due diligence. And I highly, highly, highly recommend you check out a recent video we made going over how to do due diligence, how to do your DD on penny stocks. It's a great place to start. Obviously, you can do more than what we talk about in that video, but it's a great place to start. And we go through a bunch of things that I think you need to be paying attention to and looking at before you ever buy or short a penny stock. Let us know what you guys think in the comments down below based on this. Did you trade this stock? Have you seen stuff like this before? And this actually happens a lot more often than you may think. Thanks so much, guys. Hit that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing. Links and resources down below. Some free stocks. Webull, Moo. There's even Public. Get some free stocks across all those platforms. Link down below. Check out our other two channels, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.